It. There we go. Is it a bit too loud? Hello. Hi. Forgot that I wanted to be a bit more. Am I lagging? Hello. Gonna fall asleep to the rain. It's only 1 p.m. Well, that's kind of the goal today. Hello. Hello, hello. Hello, everybody. Sorry, I just got my tea and I didn't want to keep you guys waiting. Let me fix the audio stuff. Tell me if anything is too loud or if you struggle hearing anything. Good evening, everybody. Where rain go? Where did the rain go? Hi, Oichu. Hi, Vet. Hi, Zach. Hello, Shade. Did the rain go away? Why? Is it back? Is it too quiet? Is it too loud? Hi, everybody. I thought of trying out something new today by reading. I mean, this can also be a just chatting stream, but I do have fairy tales. It's back. Okay, sorry. This is the moon trying to be all calming and like relaxing, and also at the same time Scuff following me everywhere. Okay, is this loud enough? Is it louder than me? Is it too quiet? I hope you guys are okay. What's good in your world? I haven't seen you since last time. It's very relaxing, no worries. Okay. Even though we're struggling with the scuff. It is quite windy where I'm at right now. So I hope that there will be not too much lag. Thank you, everybody, for helping me with the audio thing. I needed to check the chat. I hope Nat will feel better soon. I might DM her after the stream. Nico is here too. Oh. Thank you guys for calling me pretty. Some days, you know how some days you don't feel pretty, but then here come your friends and loved ones. Let me see. Okay. I just had a nice warm shower and had a decent day. How about you? That's so good. That's so good that you are taking care of yourself. I'm glad. I spent the day with my loved ones too before my trip. I will be gone for a while, so I decided to spend the day with my loved ones a bit. It was nice. I had a hot chocolate and an apple cake, like a pie. It was really good. I'm glad you're taking care of yourself and you had a good day. And because today is the day I'm gonna spend with my loved ones before I leave, I decided to stream today too. Again, for those who don't know, I will be on a trip for most of February. So what did I want to say? Now the rain is distracting me. I'll be on a trip soon for the most of February, so this will be the last stream in my own flower field for a while. For a few weeks. I will try to stream when I'm gone too, but it will be very, like, once in a blue moon, if you catch my drift. Yummy hot chocolate. I try to not drink too much coffee anymore, so I always go with hot chocolate when I'm out. Had a bit of a harsh day today. Now I'm just relaxing with a cup of tea and dinner. Enjoy your dinner. I have tea too. My tea is a throat comfort tea, specifically for these cold weathers. And on the back of my, the little tag that my tea bag has, there's a quote. And I think the quote is really nice. And the quote is saying, I'll translate it because it's obviously in German. But the quote is saying, inspire others with your friendly presence and your peaceful presence. Which I think is very fitting for me, because that is my goal, especially while streaming. Because the internet, especially lately, can be a very cold place. There's so much going on in the world. So I try to be a safe point. Help to get you all through the night. Because the night is sometimes really hard to get through. I experienced it myself. So I hope that I can be a safe haven, my VODs, my videos, my content. I'm gonna do some work for a bit and then pop back in. Good luck with your work. I'm proud of you for working. I'll be here for a while. I don't know for how long. We'll chat. If you guys have questions, I'll try to answer too. And I have fairy tales. I have, as you can see right now, I have my book here. Some ASMR. I've been watching ASMR to fall asleep lately, because I'm pretty nervous about my trip. I'll go. I have a very long trip ahead of me, so I'm a bit nervous. I've been watching some ASMR to help me fall asleep. Can you hear that? Anyways, I don't know if my mic is good for ASMR. It's probably not, but one day I might have a good ASMR mic. Either way, I do have fairy tales here. They are from Hans Christian Andersen. And the first one is one of my favorites. It's The Little Mermaid, which I really want to read with you guys. Then we also have Thumbelina, the Snow Queen, Elfenmount, the Marsh King's Daughter, the Storks, which is also very cute, the Nightingale, which is also very nice, the Wild Swans, the Princess and the Pea, the Red Shoes, the Emperor's New Clothes, the Swineherd, the Flying Trunk, the Leaping Match, the Shepherdess, and the Chimney Sweeper, also a classic, the Ugly Duckling, and the Naughty Boy. We don't have to read all of them, but I have some for all of you. Also decided to read a bit. I am lagging a bit, aren't I? There, I had a visitor. The Naughty Boy, yeah. My fave story to fall asleep to is Goodnight Moon. Yes, it's for babies, but it helps me. Oh, I like children and baby stories too. I'm not judging. If you want, Zach, I can read it too. Oh yeah, sorry, I had Mama Moon visited. But I also decided, before I start reading, I can explain it, because I decided also to read today instead of doing just chatting, so that if in case I don't stream for a while, or it takes me a little longer to figure out how to stream on the road, that you guys have something to look back to, or to help you fall asleep or wind down, you know? So the VOD is also hopefully something for everybody that needs a little push while I'm gone. But yeah, I'll try to be as active as possible on all of my platforms. You guys, if you haven't yet, follow the links in my description. I have Twitter, I have TikTok. I don't know. I will let you guys know in case I do have content or energy to stream. But yeah, in case it takes me a while, you guys have or will have this VOD to help you fall asleep maybe. I will put timestamps in the description so that you can check out each story I read individually too. So if you guys have suggestions or like stories that I can read you, do let me know. I look back at the VODs anyways when I feel a bit overwhelmed. That's nice. That means a lot to me. That is the whole reason I started this journey. And soon I will be doing this for half a year. This month. I hope I can like post a video talking to all of you about how much it means to me that I can do this and that I have you guys here. But yeah, this month I will be streaming for half a year. Which is insane, if you think about it. To me, it is insane. And I know that some days or sometimes we'll be just 5 or 3 or just 2 people here. But I saw a video of another streamer who got made fun of because somebody was like, oh, you're streaming to only like 13 people. And somebody made fun of her for that. But her reply was really cool, because she was so cool. She said like, now imagine 13 people looking at you and paying attention to you and hanging out with you. Like, that's a lot of people. And I share the sentiment. I really, even if just one of you is here, it means a lot to me. Good job, gamer. Thanks, I too. You won the tournament? Congrats, Zach. That's so cool. I know how hard you work for that one. I'm really proud of you. The reason you started was to make people smile. That's also nice. I like that too. We are nearing the semis. Oh. You're so... Your team must be good. It is a lot of people. I agree. Like, even like 5, 10 or less. For me, that's everything that matters. The girl was really cool. If I find the video again, I can send it to you. If I had 13 people staring at me, I'd panic. Exactly! Like, that's a lot of people! So again, thank you all so much for being here, paying attention, talking to me. Especially because in real life, I'm... What does real life mean? I mean, outside of streaming. The moon is a bit shy, not gonna lie. There's a reason why she only comes out at night. Congrats, Zach and Zach's team. We are doing well as a team. I agree. Scuff or not, you are doing well. Yeah, there's just no point in focusing on numbers if you want to do it for, you know, for the reason of helping people and building whatever kind of community you have. There's no point in focusing too much on numbers. The bullies have no idea what they're talking about. So yeah. Half a year? I'm pretty proud of all of us. But I will make a separate video talking about it. Slurping my tea already. Yeah, just doing it for funsies. That's the goal. That's the whole point. That's the whole reason. So yeah. I planned to read today so that we all can chill and that the VOD can be up as a fallback or comfort for people. Because I personally love watching streamers and VTubers too, and there are some streams and VODs that I always watch to help me fall asleep as well. And they're usually the more quiet ones. Even if one person takes time to look at someone's content, it's already awesome. I totally agree. 100%. I know that sounds very pretentious, especially because I'm live right now, but I really agree. You've been streaming for 8 months almost, wow. They just bored, I guess the bully just doesn't have better things to do. Usually. That's how bullying works. People who are sad, jealous, not have anything else to do, they bully. I've been a victim to that too, in many ways. But you know what's the coolest part? Is to come out stronger. I think that's cool. To not let the bullies get to you too much and then come out stronger. And show them that, you know what? I don't care what you say. So the answer of the girl in the video was really cool to me. I looked up to that. I fall asleep to girlfriend ASMR videos. Very respectable. I do that too. Or I used to do that a while back. We've known each other for 6 months. Oh my god. I've listened to a few, not gonna lie. Same, absolutely. Imagine having the energy to waste on bullying someone. I question that every time, especially online. Like, don't you have a life? Aren't you busy, I don't know, career-wise or friend-wise? Don't you have better things to do? Like, instead of bullying someone, how about you compliment a loved one? Like, use that energy somewhere else, right? So I thought the reply of the video was really cool. The way she replied was really cool. Exactly, like, do you not have a life? And if you don't, then how about you try? Like, how about you try kindness? I did not hear you? You can't hear me? Am I talking too quiet? Here I am trying ASMR, and now I'm too quiet. Boop, boop. One day I really want those 180 ASMR mics. Then I can make girlfriend ASMR too. I can make like... No, I meant I didn't know you said the same thing. Ooh! We jinxed. Teehee. We are twinsies. Twinning. Okay, as long as my volume is fine, it's okay. But yeah, today let's hang out a little bit. I'd listen to that low key. High key, me too. Right now, all I can do is this. I don't know if I would listen to that. Did I hear girlfriend ASMR? Now you're actively in chat? I thought you were lurking. No, we were talking about what helps us fall asleep. And ASMR is helping me fall asleep lately. And then Zach mentioned that girlfriend ASMR helps him sleep sometimes. And I was like, yeah, that's fair. And then I was like, Esme played so many VNs that she became one. Honestly, that's the goal. Imagine a visual novel game with me. Oh, I know I haven't pulled out the list in a while. But I'm pulling out my list again. Because my goal list, you guys remember? You guys remember my list full of goals? I had like every 100 subs we do one ASMR roleplay. We have done that so far. Have not. 1K subs was doing a karaoke stream. 500 subs would be like a song cover or like an original song. But I've changed it a bit around because my goal this year would be to create an original song. I'd play that. Oh my god, Yvette, you can play it on stream then. My girlfriend's white noise helped me fall asleep. Okay, fair. Esmeralda, we VN, it's Yandere. There would definitely be a Yandere route. There would also be a gender bend route. Trust. I'm for everybody. If you like guys, I'd turn into a guy. Easy. I would have 500 hours on that easy. Pro gamer. What's your favorite game? Well, there's this visual novel. I so would, girly. Okay, that's getting on the list. So we changed the original song as my goal for 2026. Because I really want to make an original song. I think I could do that. I trust myself. And like a VN for maybe my 1 year anniversary. I'm so ambitious. But I think I can figure out how to do that. I'll figure out how to do that. There are other streamers and like communities from bigger streamers. I've seen that people make games for their streamers and for their Oshis. And I think that's so cool. I'll start. I'll show you guys. Yandere, you say? Yes, yes. Easy. Okay, that's my goal. So we gotta wait another 6 months for an Asmodee VN. Yes. Blue Moon VN. Oh my god, that would actually be so fun. Or maybe for April Fools. But no, I think I want it to be serious. Okay, you guys can look forward to my 1st-year anniversary of streaming. And then you guys can look forward to the blue moon we have this year. Bet. Okay. Donation goal for Blue Moon VN. Honestly, my Ko-fi link is in my bio. It's like right in the description of every recent VOD. I'll write that down as one of my streaming plans. Okay. I'll look into that. You guys have something to look forward to. I know I've slowed down a little bit when it comes to content lately. Beginning of this year has been a bit harsh. But I'm not stopping. I just am taking a break. After my trip, I hope I can come back to you guys full force. Okay, too much talking. I've distracted everybody with possible girlfriend ASMR. I just one day, if you guys want to support that, I want an ASMR microphone. You can donate. The Ko-fi link is in the description. I feel so weird asking for donations because I don't do that usually. But hey, if you want me to have an ASMR microphone so that I can do proper ASMR, you guys know where to donate to. The Ko-fi donations that I got before actually helped me get a boom arm for my microphone. So streaming is a lot more comfortable now for me. So thank you to everybody who did donate. We all deserve a break. I think we all deserve a break. And after that, I'll come back. I'll see if I can donate. No pressure at all, girly. Please, only if you have something to spare. So that goes for everyone. Only if you guys have anything to spare and you don't know where to go with your dollars or whatever currency, and you want me to do ASMR, then that would help. I can also try doing it without it, of course. But I've never considered doing girlfriend ASMR. I do consume the content though, I think it's pretty cool. But you guys know what kind of ASMR I do. I do roleplay ASMR. Alas, I also read books. Okay. Bets. Okay. Whoa, everybody calm down. But not gonna lie, to anyone, donations do help. The donations that go to me, specifically, they only go to my streaming setup. Like, I really am fortunate that the donations I can use for streaming setup things and whatnot and equipment. I'm very fortunate to be able to say that all my donations can go to that. Because I know some people, they need their donations for much more than that. But my donations, luckily, I can use them for microphone, equipment, boom arm, etc. I've low-key thought about doing girlfriend ASMR or something like that. I mean, it's worth a try, right? And if it's not for you, then at least you try it once. I don't know if it's gonna be for me, to be honest, but hey. Anything you guys want. If I have to do ASMR, or like if I plan to do ASMR every 100 subs, then one day we will be out of ideas. And if I'm out of ideas, girlfriend ASMR it is. I'm kidding. I'll make a whole voiced VN, trust. Yandere route, gender bend route, the neutral good ending, the bad ending, the terrible ending, a secret ending, whatever. We're shooting for the stars, as Bella always said. We are just taking a break, and after that, we're shooting for the stars again. I have something planned for the blue moon this year, and apparently now I have something planned for my anniversary. I'd help if you need side characters, of course. Thank you so much. That means a lot. It's probably gonna be like a school thing. I would voice an NPC. Of course, Nico, please. If we're in high school, Nico, you can be like a teacher. Or like a classmate. Oh my god, a classmate. It would be like the kid in the back. I miss the kid in the back. But the creator has already said that they will not update the demo. The next update will be the full game. So whenever it is, you guys know I will be playing it. I miss visual novels, I realized. I'll be the jealous NPC. Maybe you can have like a romance route too. Maybe they don't want to romance me, maybe they want to romance you. But that would not be an Esmeravian then anymore. The girl in the last row. Oh my god. Oh my god. Still need to play the kid at the back. I can only recommend it. I think it's really fun. The demo is not too long. I love the art style. It's very cute. But trigger warning, of course. Read the content warnings. We've been talking for a while. It's so nice to catch up with all of you. I hope I can stream here and there. Maybe I can even do like quick little TikTok streams, though I've never streamed on TikTok, so I don't know. I'm also pretty content on YouTube. I know at the beginning of my career I've like thought about switching to Twitch. But so far I'm really content here. Yeah, you want to play it for funsies? Totally. I always like support the creator by playing it. Have you seen like the funny ASMRs like it was going normal and then something loud happened at the end? Oicho, those are my favorites. I've been obsessed with them since last summer. There's so many good ones. I should do that too. Okay, you've given me an idea for April Fools. Okay, everyone who's here right now, this is top secret. But like once April Fools hit, I'm gonna be like, oh my god, my first girlfriend ASMR. And oh my god, I want to do that so bad. Hold on, it's getting on the list. Still need to post. I haven't done that in a while. Same. Like, I'm so sorry that I've been so inactive, guys. I will try. I love that meme. Thank you so much, Oicho, for the idea. Like, my girlfriend tucks me in bed, then gets hit by a fucking truck. I'd fall for it. Aw. You guys can send it to your friends and stuff. Psych your thought. I kept seeing those ones on Instagram and TikTok. Yes. So many, I think, who did it really well? I know the streamer, Vermillion. His got really popular. Ver is really cool. And he has done one, because he usually doesn't do ASMR. So he dropped one, and everyone was like, what? And then it's like, you get hit by a fucking truck or something. Those ASMRs are hilarious. I think so. I love them. I think they're the best. I was obsessed with them. Me and Bella have sent each other all of them. Like, all the ones that we've seen this summer. Or past summer. Go to sleep, dearest. Proceeded to get whacked with a frying pan. Yes, the frying pan one! Those are good too! I would make so much noise. My neighbors will be so confused. Because I know myself, I would totally make every noise myself. Except, I guess, a car crash. Though I might, like... No, I'm kidding. Does the moon have a license? We will never know. Go to sleep, my love. Nice dreams. Open the door! This will be crazy. Okay, I will brainstorm ideas. Guys, look out for April Fools. And if the day ever comes, act like you have no idea. Don't do that one by yourself. But it's authentic then. I'm kidding. Everybody check on Withers afterwards. My boy's still breathing after the ASMR that Esmeralda did of your girlfriend tucks you into bed and then hits you with a frying pan. Let me in! Oh my god, ASMR. Yandere ASMR, but like actually creepy. Oh, that's scary. I think there's some audio thing you could use for it. I mean, yeah, probably. Thank you guys for your concern. POV. Okay. POV, the moon sinks you to sleep and then suffocates you with a pillow. I heard my name. No, it's fine, it's fine. Go back to sleep. It's okay. Oh man, I'll miss you guys. I will try to be as active as possible. Maybe do a Twitter space, if you guys have Twitter, or maybe like a stream on TikTok. Even if it's short, I want to catch up with everybody sometime. Through my trip. What a way to go. No, tell me please. I was just saying that I would want my ASMR to be very authentic. So I would want, you know, to make every noise myself. I mean, in my 200 subscriber ASMR, I did make the bed sheet noises myself too, because I just like making everything myself, you know. And then we were talking about the ASMR about like hitting people with a frying pan. And I was joking and being like, oh my god, everybody check on Withers, because if I would need to hit someone with a frying pan, it will be him, so. I'll learn how to code just to make the VN. Oh my god, only if you have the interest and the time. I will try to like look into that too, Shade. Because that sounds really fun to make for all of you. Did I get auto-modded? Yes, you did, but on my screen here, I can still see your message. It's just not in the live chat. I can see that you said she's still singing as she smothers with said pillow. Strumming my pain with his fingers. Giving my life with his words. Singing me softly with his song. Killing me softly with his song. Oh my. Fixing sound. Withers wanted to be there for the bedsheet noises trust. Oh my god. I will be said victim. Oh no, I'm so scared. Somebody save me. I'm right where I want to be. I would sing that song too. Killing me softly with his song. I love that song. Okay. I will cover that next. I actually have a cover in the works. I just haven't had the time to mix it properly. My next cover. But like, I forgot that Killing Me Softly exists. I would want to do that too. So hey, maybe in the girlfriend ASMR. I take the smothering over the frying pan, not gonna lie. Do I have something akin to a frying pan here? I have my mug. Okay, honey, it's time for breakfast. But first of all, get hit with a mug. I need song ideas for cover thoughts. I'd usually say, go with the ones you already love and you already know. Where are my tissues? Gone they are. Anyways. That reminds me of Love Prescription, the doctor. That was super weird. Man, I'll edit that clip too for you guys. I missed that game. Me in the beginning of the stream, I want this to be like an ASMR for everyone to fall asleep while I'm gone. Also me smothers you guys with a pillow. Ready to eat your breakfast, gets blown up by the kitchen. Gets waterboarded in the kitchen sink. The gaslighting game, yes. That's a fitting song for Yvette. For Astri. I'm excited to hear. I love music. I'm so excited to become an idol one day. The book that I have, don't burn your old food, guys. I'm not burning food, I'm burning my guests. Don't don't burn food yourself, Zach. I mean, as me 3D model when one day, I promise, one day I will, and then I can dance for you, and I can sing, and we can have a great time. I believe you get there. Thank you. And then I'll have like a fan chant with you guys. And then we'll say, I say yawn and you say, I say chicken and you say butt. Chicken, butt. Anyways, I'm professional. Every idol agency watching this right now is like, she's the one, guys. She's the one. Yawn. I say disco, you say party. My siblings and I did that so much. Oh, there's another blood moon soon, by the way. I can make a little video for that too. I think it's gonna be in March, and it's gonna be a very long one. Big yawn. Okay. I'll need to add the timestamps for people who actually want to fall asleep to this VOD. Okay. I think I will try to read Ion 2. That's the goal, see? I'm the moon and I'm here to make the children tired. Did I hear vampire or am I crazy? I don't think I said vampire. But I love vampires. I also had half a mind to read Twilight for everyone. Maybe I will. I remember the comment I left on your first Blood Moon short. Maybe for part 2 we could do something. That was your first comment? Oh no, my first... Oh, I thought that was your first comment. Oh god. But I'll think about it. I actually don't have any idea. But since I did one for the first one, I'd love to do another one for the Blood Moon. I'll see. I'll think about it. I'm reading Twilight Part 2. That's so cool. I love the books. I read them so many times. I think Eclipse, so the third book, is my favorite though. One of the firsts I left. Oh my god. It feels so long ago. So glad you found me. So glad we found each other, everybody. Okay, I think I will still check the chat while I read. But I'll try to talk as calmly as possible. But let's start. Let's warm up my voice a little bit. Oh. Last stream, while I did Willow Mist, I did the specific voice for... Oh my god, have I forgotten her name? Lucille. Yeah. And I remember you guys were like, you should use that voice to read fairy tales. Should I try doing that? I'll try using my Lucille voice for this fairy tale. Feels like we've been friends for longer than 6 months. I agree. I hope we'll stay friends for a long time. Lord, I'm cooked. Hey, it's the Little Mermaid. British pretty voice? Oh, Rip Withers. My mod immediately thinking of everyone. My British accent is not the best though, so please be kind to me. I used to have a better one in the past, but it's kind of gotten lost on me. The Little Mermaid. Far out in the wide sea, where the water is blue as the loveliest cornflower, and clear as the purest crystal, where it is so deep that very, very many church towers must be heaped one upon another in order to reach, from the lowest depth to the surface above, dwell the mer people. Now you must not imagine that there is nothing but sand below the water. No, indeed, far from it. Trees and plants of wondrous beauty grow there, whose stems and leaves are so light that they are waved to and fro by the slightest motion of the water, almost as if they were living beings. Fishes, great and small, glide in and out among the branches, just as birds fly about among our trees. Where the water is deepest stands the palace of the Mer King. The walls of this palace are of coral, and the high pointed windows are of amber. The roof, however, is composed of mussel shells, which as the billows pass over them are continually opening and shutting. This looks exceedingly pretty, especially as each of these mussel shells contains a number of bright glittering pearls, one only of which would be the most costly ornament in the diadem of a king in the upper world. The Mer King who lived in this palace had been for many years a widower. His old mother managed the household affairs for him. She was, on the whole, a sensible sort of lady, although extremely proud of her high birth and station, on which account she wore 12 oysters on her tail, whilst the other inhabitants of the sea, even those of distinction, were allowed only 6. In every other aspect, she merited unlimited praise, especially for the affection she showed to the 6 little princesses, her granddaughters. These were all very beautiful children. The youngest was, however, the most lovely. Her skin was as soft and delicate as a rose leaf. Her eyes were of as deep a blue as the sea, but like all other mermaids, she had no feet. Her body ended in a tail like that of a fish. The whole day long, the children used to play in the spacious apartments of the palace, where beautiful flowers grew out of the walls on all sides around them. When the great amber windows were open, fishes would swim into these apartments as swallows fly into our rooms. But the fishes were bolder than the swallows. They swam straight up to the little princesses, ate from their hands, and allowed themselves to be caressed. In front of the palace there was a large garden full of fiery red and dark blue trees, whose fruit glittered like gold, and whose flowers resembled a bright burning sun. The sand that formed in the soil of the garden was of a bright blue color, something like flames of sulphur, and a strangely beautiful blue was spread over the whole, so that one might have fancied oneself raised very high in the air, with the sky at once above and below. Certainly not at the bottom of the sea. Exactly, get comfy, everybody. When the waters were quite still, the sun might be seen looking like a purple flower, out of whose cup streamed forth the light of the world. Each of the little princesses had her own plot in the garden, where she might plant and sow at her pleasure. One chose hers to be made in the shape of a whale, another preferred the figure of a mermaid, but the youngest had hers quite round, like the sun, and planted it in one of those flowers that were red. As the sun seemed to her, she was certainly a singular child, very quiet and thoughtful, whilst her sisters were adorning themselves with all sorts of gay things that came out of a ship which has been wrecked. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I know that back in the day the word gay meant something like flamboyant, and not necessarily what it means today. But it's very funny to think about them collecting gay things. Like, what would possibly be something gay? A rainbow flag, maybe? We're very mature people. Oh, yes, we are. I'm sorry. Whilst her sisters were adorning themselves with all sorts of gay things that came out of a ship which has been wrecked, she asked for nothing but a beautiful white marble statue of a boy, which had been found in it. That is not very gay. Anyways, she put the statue in her garden and planted a red weeping willow by its side. The tree grew up quickly and let its long boughs fall upon the bright blue ground, where ever-moving shadows played in violet hues, as if boughs and root were embracing it. Nothing pleased the little princess more than to hear about the world of human beings living above the sea. She made her old grandmother tell her everything she knew about ships, towns, men, and land animals, and was particularly pleased when she heard that the flowers of the upper world had a pleasant fragrance. For the flowers of the sea are scentless, and that the woods were green, and the fishes fluttering among the branches of various gay colors, and that they could sing with a loud, clear voice. The old lady meant birds, but she called them fish, because her grandchildren, having never seen a bird, would not otherwise have understood her. When you have attained your 15th year, added she, you will be permitted to rise to the surface of the sea. You will then sit by moonlight in the clefts of the rocks, see the ships sail by, and learn to distinguish towns and men. The next year the eldest of the sisters reached this happy age, but the others, alas! The second sister was a year younger than the eldest, the third a year younger than the second, and so on. The youngest had still 5 whole years to wait till that joyful time should come, when she also might rise to the surface of the water, and see what was going on in the upper world. However, the eldest promised to tell the others of everything she might see. When the first day of her being of age arrived, for the grandmother gave them but little information, and there was so much that they wished to hear. But none of all the sisters longed so ardently for the day when she should be released from childish restraint as the youngest. She who had longest to wait, and was so quiet and thoughtful. Many a night she stood by the open window, looking up through the clear blue water, whilst the fishes were leaping and playing around her. She could see the sun and the moon. Their light was pale, but they appeared larger than they do to those who lived in the upper world. If a shadow passed over them, she knew it must be either a whale or a ship sailing by full of human beings, who indeed little thought that far beneath them a little mermaid was passionately stretching forth her white hands towards the ship's keel. The day had now arrived when the eldest princess had attained her 15th year, and was therefore allowed to rise up to the surface of the sea. When she returned, she had 1,000 things to relate. Her chief pleasure had been to sit upon a sea bank in the moonlight, looking at the large town which lay on the coast, where lights were beaming like stars, and where music was playing. She had heard the distant noise of men and carriages. She had been seen the high church towers, had listened to the ringing of the bells, and just because she could not go there, she longed the more after all these things. How attentively did her younger sister listen to her words! And when she next stood at night time by her open window, gazing upward through the blue waters, she thought so intensely of the great, noisy city that she fancied she could hear the church bells ringing. Next year, the second sister received permission to swim wherever she pleased. She rose to the surface of the sea just when the sun was setting, and this sight so delighted her that she declared it to be more beautiful than anything else she had ever seen above the waters. "The whole sky seemed tinged with gold," said she, "and it is impossible for me to describe to you the beauty of the clouds. Now red, now violet, they glided over me, but still more swiftly flew over the water a flock of white swans, just where the sun was descending. I looked after them, but the sun disappeared, and the bright rosy light on the surface of the sea and on the edges of the clouds was gradually extinguished." Is it just me that's picturing it in my mind what she's reading? I do that too all the time. When listening to audiobooks, I can only recommend trying to imagine what you're being read to. That's very fun. I think it's cute. It was now time for the third sister to visit the upper world. She was the boldest of the 6, and ventured up a river. On its shores she saw green hills covered with woods and vineyards, from amongst which arose houses and castles. She heard the birds singing, and the sun shone with so much power that she was continually obliged to plunge below in order to cool her burning face. In a little bay she met with a number of children, who were bathing and jumping about. She would have joined in their gambols, but the children fled back to land in great terror, and a little black animal barked at her in such a manner that herself was frightened at last, and swam back to the sea. She could not, however, forget the green woods, the verdant hills, and the pretty children who, although they had no fins, were swimming about in the river so fearlessly. The fourth sister was not so bold. She remained in the open sea, and said on her return home she thought nothing could be more beautiful. She had seen ships sailing by, so far off that they looked like seagulls. She had watched the merry dolphins gambolling in the water, and enormous whales sending up into the air 1,000 sparkling fountains. The year after, the fifth sister attained her 15th year. Her birthday happened at a different season to that of her sisters. It was winter. The sea was of a green color, and immense icebergs were floating on its surface. These, she said, looked like pearls. They were, however, much larger than the church towers in the land of human beings. She sat down upon one of these pearls and let the wind play with her long hair. But then all the ships hoisted their sails in terror and escaped as quickly as possible. In the evening the sky was covered with sails, and whilst the great mountains of the ice alternately sank and rose again, and beamed with a reddish glow, flashes of lightning burst forth from the clouds, and the thunder rolled on, peal after peal. The sails of all the ships were instantly furled, and horror and affright reigned on board. But the princess sat still on the iceberg, looking unconcernedly at the blue zigzag of the flashes. The first time that either of these sisters rose out of the sea, she was quite enchanted at the sight of so many new and beautiful objects. But the novelty was soon over, and it was no longer ere their own home appeared more attractive than the upper world, for there only did they find everything agreeable. Many an evening would have 5 sisters rise hand in hand from the depth of the ocean. Their voices were far sweeter than any human voice, and when a storm was coming on, they would swim in front of the ships and sing. Oh, how sweetly did they sing, describing the happiness of those who lived at the bottom of the sea, and entreating the sailors not to be afraid, but to come down to them. The mariners, however, did not understand their words. They fancied the song was only the whistling of the wind, and thus they lost the hidden glories of the sea. For if their ships were wrecked, all on board were drowned, and none but dead men ever entered the Mer-King's palace. Whilst the sisters were swimming at evening time, the youngest would remain motionless and alone in her father's palace, looking up after them. She would have wept, but mermaids cannot weep, and therefore, when they are troubled, suffer infinitely more than human beings do. "Oh, if I were but 15, sighed she. "I know that I should love the upper world and its inhabitants so much." At last the time she had so longed for arrived. "Well, now it is my turn." "Oh, now it is your turn," said the grandmother. "Sorry. Come here, and I may adorn you like your sisters." And she wound around her hair a wreath of white lilies, whose every petal was the half of a pearl, and then commanded 8 large oysters to fasten themselves to the princess's tail in token of her high rank. "But that is so very uncomfortable," said the little princess. "One must not mind slight inconveniences when one wishes to look well," said the old lady. How willingly would the princess have given up all of the splendor and exchanged her heavy crown for the red flowers of her garden, which were so much more becoming to her. But she dared not to do so. "Farewell," she said, and she rose from the sea, light as a flake of foam. When for the first time in her life she appeared on the surface of the water, The sun had just sunk below the horizon. The clouds were beaming with bright golden and rosy hues. The evening star was shining in the pale western sky. The air was mild and refreshing, and the sea as smooth as a looking glass. A large ship with 3 masts lay on the still waters. One sail only was unfurled, but not a breath was stirring, and the sailors were quietly seated on the cordage and ladders of the vessel. Music and song resounded from the deck, and after it grew dark, hundreds of lamps all on a sudden burst forth into light, whilst innumerable flags were fluttering overhead. The Little Mermaid swam close up to the captain's cabin, and every now and then, when the ship was raised by the motion of the water, she could look through the clear window panes. She saw within many richly dressed men. The handsomest among them was a young prince with large black eyes. He could not certainly be more than 16 years old, and it was in honor of his birthday that a grand festival was being celebrated. The crew were dancing on the deck, and when the young prince appeared among them, 100 rockets were sent up into the air, turning night into day, and so terrifying the Little Mermaid that for some minutes she plunged beneath the water. However, as soon raised she her little head again, and then it seemed as if all the stars were falling down upon her. Such a fiery shower she had never seen before. Never had she heard that men possessed such powerful and wonderful magic. Large suns revolved around her, bright fishes swam in the air, and everything was reflected perfectly on the clear surface of the sea. It was so light in the ship that everything could be seen distinctly. Oh, how happy the young prince was! He shook hands with the sailors, laughed and jested with them, whilst sweet notes of music mingled with the silence of the night. Hi, Shiru. Today's stream is a bit more chill. I hope that's cool with everybody. So do sit back, relax, if you want to hang around. I'm reading The Little Mermaid by Hans Christian Andersen. Thank you for being here. Hello. It's fine. I got delayed too. It was now late, but the Little Mermaid could not tear herself away from the ship and the handsome young prince. She got a crush. She remained looking through the cabin window, rocketed to and fro by the waves. There was a foaming and fermentation in the depths beneath, and the ship began to move on faster. The sails were spread, the waves rose high, thick clouds gathered over the sky, and the noise of distant thunder was heard. The sailors perceived that a storm was coming on, so they again furled the sails. The great vessel was tossed about on the tempestuous. What a word! Tempestuous. Tempest on the ocean like a light boat, and the waves rose to an immersive, immense height, towering over the ship, which alternately sank beneath and rose above them. I'm so sorry. Bro spoiling. Hi, Annie. Hello. Long time no see. Jimmy is still here? How are you doing? Tempura. Tempest. That word didn't sound real. I can text it into the... Hold on. I'll write it down. Tempest. Tempestuous. I don't know what that means either. I don't know either. That's a big word for Esme. It's giving keyboard smash. Hans Christian Andersen was ahead of his time with the keyboard smash. Okay. It means stormy. Oh, thank you for looking it up. Sure, you're so funny. Thank you for dropping by and being funny. But if it means stormy, then now we know. Meanwhile, the Little Mermaid is watching the ship, where there's a festival, like a birthday party for the prince. It is a stormy night. To the Little Mermaid, this seemed most delightful. But the ship's crew thought very differently. She's like, yay! Oh my god, yay! There's a storm, wow! And everyone on the ship is screaming. And I thought Polish was hard. English can be very hard, especially Old English. Thought you say norms. Disco disco party. That joke. It's so funny because Yvette made that joke earlier too. Yay! Anyways, to the Little Mermaid this seemed most delightful. But the ship's crew thought very differently. The vessel cracked. The stout masts bent under the violence of the billows. The waters rushed in. For a minute the ship tottered to and fro. Then the mainmast broke, as if it had been a reed. The ship turned over and was filled with water. The Little Mermaid now perceived that the crew was in danger. Wow, now she's thinking. For she herself was forced to be aware of the beams and splinters torn from the vessel and floating about on the waves. But at the same time, it became pitch dark, so that she could not distinguish anything. Presently, however, a dreadful flash of lightning disclosed to her the whole of the wreck. Her eyes sought the young prince. The same instant the ship sank to the bottom. At first she was delighted, thinking that the prince must now come to her abode. But she soon remembered that man cannot live in water, and that therefore, if the prince ever entered her palace, it would be as a corpse. Die, no, he must not die. She swam through the fragments with which the water was strewn regardless of the danger she was incurring, and at last found the prince all but exhausted and with great difficulty keeping his head above water. He had already closed his eyes and must inevitably have been drowned, had not the Little Mermaid come to his rescue. She seized hold of him and kept him above water, suffering the current to bear them on together. I'm glad I can be background noise. Towards morning, the storm was hushed. No trace, however, remained of the ship. The sun rose like fire out of the sea. His beams seemed to restore color to the prince's cheeks. But his eyes were still closed. The mermaid kissed his high forehead and stroked his wet hair away from his face. He looked like the marble statue in her garden. She kissed him again and wished most fervently that he might recover. Voice is very soothing, thank you. She now saw the dry land, with its mountains glittering with snow. A green wood extended along the coast, and at the entrance of the wood stood a chapel or a convent. She could not be sure which. Citron and lemon trees grew in the garden adjoining it. An avenue of tall palm trees led up to the door. The sea here formed a little bay in which the water was quite smooth but very deep, and under the cliffs were the dry, firm sands. Hither swam the little mermaid with the seemingly dead prince. She laid him upon the warm sand and took care to place his head high and to turn his face to the sun. The bells began to ring in the large white building which stood before her, and a number of young girls came out to walk in the garden. The mermaid went away from the shore, hid herself behind some stones, covered her head with foam so that her little face could not be seen, and watched the prince with unremitting attention. It was not long before one of the young girls approached. She seemed quite frightened at finding the prince in this state, apparently dead. Soon, however, she recovered herself and ran back to call her sisters. The little mermaid saw that the prince revived, and that all around smiled kindly and joyfully upon him. For her, however, he looked not. He knew not that it was she who had saved him, and when the prince was taken into the house, she felt so sad that she immediately plunged beneath the water and returned to her father's palace. I feel like I'm listening to the teacher read a story. I'm hearing a hint of an English accent. Are you one of us? I am not. No. But I have learned English with an accent, yes. I've learned British English before I have learned American. I wish the teachers in Poland sounded like that. I'll take that as a compliment. My English teachers sounded like this, so. Over here you learn British English before you learn the American one. Though my accent is very rusty. British? One of us? Am I one of us, yeah? Don't learn American. It is not real. Well, I can't argue with that. If she had been before quiet and thoughtful, she now grew still more so. Her sisters asked her what she had seen in the upper world, but she made no answer. Many an evening she rose to the place where she had left the prince. She saw the snow on the mountains melt, the fruits in the gardens ripen and gathered, but the prince she never saw, so she always returned sorrowfully to her subterranean abode. Her only pleasure was to sit in her little garden gazing on the beautiful statue so like the prince. She cared no longer for her flowers. They grew up in wild luxuriance, covered the steps, and entwined their long stems and tendrils among the boughs of the trees, so that her whole garden became a bower. Remember the one teacher with the exaggerated British accent? I do. Teacher Esme? Ooh, a new ASMR idea. Thank you for subbing, Shiro. I appreciate it. Teacher Esme. ASMR? Question mark? At last, being unable to conceal her sorrow any longer, she revealed the secret to one of her sisters, who told it to the other princesses, and they to some of their friends. Among them was a young mermaid who recollected the prince. Having been an eyewitness herself to the festivities in the ship, she knew also in what country the prince lived and the name of its king. Teacher Asmari, love it. What would you teach us? I would be a philosophy teacher, like philosophy and ethics, because that was my favorite subject. Also art. Most definitely. I would be ethics and art. Maybe politics even. Why would they snitch to everyone though? Well, the Little Mermaid has told her sisters that she saved the prince, and her sister has told the other sisters, who have told their friends. Math? Oh God, I'm terrible at math. But thanks to her sisters telling their friends, she now knows where the prince is from and which kingdom. So that's a great thing, no? Maybe a music or an art teacher. Yeah, that's fair. I'd definitely do art too, because I love art history. I also had it in uni. Am I made to be a teacher? We will find out one day. Teacher ASMR. Come, little sister, said the princesses, and, embracing her, they rose together arm in arm out of the water, just in front of the prince's palace. This palace was built on bright yellow stones. A flight of white marble steps led from it down to the sea. A gilded cupola crowned the building, and white marble figures, which might almost have been taken for real men and women, were placed among the pillars surrounding it. Through the clear glass of the high windows, one might look into magnificent apartments hung with silken curtains, the walls adorned with magnificent paintings. It was a real treat to the little royal mermaids to behold so splendid an abode. They gazed through the windows of one of the largest rooms, and in the center saw a fountain playing, whose water sprang up so high as to reach the glittering cupola above, through which the sunbeams fell dancing on the water, and brightening the pretty plants which grew around it. The little mermaid now knew where her beloved prince dwelt, and henceforth she went there almost every evening. She often approached nearer the land than her sisters had ventured, and even swam up the narrow channel that flowed under the marble balcony. Here, on a bright moonlit night, she would watch the young prince who believed himself alone. Sometimes she saw him sailing on the water in a gaily painted boat with many-colored flags waving above. She would then hide among the green reeds which grew on the banks, listening to his voice, and if anyone in the boat noticed the rustling of her long silver veil, which was caught now and then by the breeze, they only fancied it was a swan flapping his wings. Bloop. Stalker. Many a night, when the fishermen were casting their nets by the beacon's light, she heard them talking of the prince and relating the noble actions he had performed. She was then so happy, thinking how she had saved his life when struggling with the waves, and remembering how his head had rested on her bosom, and how she had kissed him when he knew nothing of it, and could never even dream of such a thing. Human beings became more and more dear to her every day. She wished that she were one of them. Their world seemed to her much larger than that of the mer people. They could fly above the ocean in their ships, as well as climbing to the summits of those high mountains that rose above the clouds, and their wooden domains extended much farther than a mermaid's eye could penetrate. There were many things that she wished to hear explained, but her sisters could not give her any satisfactory answer. She was again obliged to have recourse to the old Queen Mother, who knew a great deal about the upper world, which she used to call the country above the sea. "Do men, when they not drown, live forever?" she asked one day. "Do they not die as we do, who live at the bottom of the sea?" "Yes," was the grandmother's reply. "They must die like us, and their life is much shorter than ours. We live to the age of 300 years, but when we die, we become foam on the sea, and are not allowed even to share a grave among those that are dear to us. We have no immortal souls. We can never live again, and are like the grass which, when once cut down, is withered forever. Human beings, on the contrary, have souls that continue to live when their bodies become dust, and as we rise out of the water to admire the abode of man, they ascend to glorious unknown dwellings in the skies, which we are not permitted to see. Why have we not immortal souls?" she asked the little mermaids. Withers mentioned. Yes, indeed. I'll stop. It's okay. I thought so too. You just said it. "Why have not we immortal souls?" asked the little mermaid. "I would willingly give up my 300 years to be a human, being for only one day, thus to become entitled to that heavenly world above." "You must not think of that," answered her grandmother. "It is much better as it is. We live longer and are far happier than human beings." "So I must die and be dashed like foam over the sea, never to rise again and hear the gentle murmur of the ocean, never again see the beautiful flowers and the bright sun. Tell me, dear grandmother, Are there no means by which I may obtain an immortal soul?" "No," replied the old lady. "It is true that if thou couldst it is true that if thou couldst so win the affections of a human being as to become dearer to him, then either father or mother, if he loved thee with all his heart, and promised, whilst the priest joined his hands with thine, to be always faithful to thee, then his soul would flow into thine, and thou wouldst then become partaker of human bliss. But that can never be, for what in our eyes is the most beautiful part of our body, the tail, the inhabitants of the earth think hideous. They cannot bear it. To appear handsome to them, the body must have two clumsy props, which they call legs." The little mermaid sighed and looked mournfully at the scaly part of her form, otherwise so fair and delicate. "We are happy," added the old lady. "We shall jump and swim about merrily for 300 years. That is a long time. And afterwards we shall repose peacefully in death. This evening we have a court ball." Hydration check, everybody. And posture check too. Oh, my back. So, the Mer Kingdom is having a ball. But the Little Mermaid seems to like the humans a bit too much for her own good. Not me grabbing an empty water bottle. Oh no. Go get water. Grandmas unite. Oof. My back feels older than me. No, it was funny. All good. Creaky backs. True. So, the ball which the Queen Mother spoke of was far more splendid than any that earth has ever seen. The walls of the saloon were of crystal, very thick, but yet very clear. Hundreds of large mussel shells were planted in rows along them. These shells were some of rose color, some green as grass, but all sending forth a bright light, which not only illuminated the whole apartment, but also shone through the glassy walls, so as to light up the waters around for a great space, and making the scales of the numberless fishes, great and small, crimson and purple, silver and gold colored, appear more brilliant than ever. Through the center of the saloon flowed a bright, clear stream, on the surface of which danced mermen and mermaids, to the melody of their own sweet voices, voices far sweeter than those of the dwellers upon earth. The little princess sang more harmoniously than any other, and they clapped their hands and applauded her. She was pleased at this, for she knew well that there was neither on earth nor in the sea a more beautiful voice than hers. But her thoughts soon returned to the world above her, She could not forget the handsome prince. She could not control her sorrow at not having an immortal soul. She stole away from her father's palace, and whilst all was joy within, she sat alone, lost in thought, in her little neglected garden. On a sudden she heard the tones of horns resounding over the water, far away in the distance, and she said to herself, "Now he's going out to hunt. He whom I love more than my father and my mother, with whom my thoughts are constantly occupied, and to whom I would so willingly trust the happiness of my life. All will I risk to win him, and an immortal soul. Whilst my sisters are still dancing in the palace, I will go to the enchantress, whom I have hitherto feared so much, but who is nevertheless the only person who can advise and help me." So the little mermaid left the garden and went to the foaming whirlpool beyond, which dwelt the enchantress. She had never been this way before. Neither flowers nor seagrass bloomed along her path. She had to traverse an extent of bare grey sand till she reached the whirlpool, whose waters were eddying and whizzing. Okay. Oh, you poor unfortunate soul. She's lovesick. She reached the whirlpool, whose waters were eddying and whizzing like mill wheels, tearing everything they could seize along with them into the abyss below. She was obliged to make her way through this horrible place in order to arrive at the territory of the enchantress. Then she had to pass through a boiling, slimy bog, which the enchantress called her turf moor. Her house stood in a wood beyond this, and a strange abode it was. All the trees and bushes around were polypi, looking like hundred-headed serpents shooting up out of the ground. Their branches were long, slimy arms with fingers of worms, every member from the root to the uttermost tip, ceaselessly moving and extending on all sides. That's disgusting. Whatever they seized, they fastened upon so that it could not loosen itself from their grasp. The little mermaid stood still for a minute, looking at this horrible wood. Her heart beat with fear, and she would certainly have returned without attaining her object, had she not remembered the prince and immortality. The thought gave her new courage. She bound up her long waving hair that the polypi might not catch hold of, crossed her delicate arms over her bosom, and swifter than a fish can glide through the water, she passed these unseemly trees, who stretched their eager arms after her in vain. She could not, however, help seeing that every polypus had something in its grasp, held as firmly by 1,000 little arms as if enclosed by iron bands. The whitened skeletons of a number of human beings who had been drowned in the sea and had sunken into the abyss grinned horribly from the arms of these polypi. Helms, chests, skeletons of land animals were also held in their embrace. Among other things might be seen even a little mermaid, whom they had seized and strangled. What a fearful sight for the unfortunate princess. That's scary. But she got safely through this wood of horrors and then arrived at a slimy palace where immense fat snails were crawling about. And in the midst of this place stood a house built of the bones of unfortunate people who had been shipwrecked. Here sat the witch caressing? Here sat the witch caressing a toad in the same manner as some persons would a pet bird. The ugly fat snails she called her chickens, and she permitted them to crawl about her. "I know well what you would ask of me," she said to the little princess. "Your wish is foolish enough, yet it shall be fulfilled, though its accomplishment is sure to bring misfortune on you, my fairest princess. You wish to get rid of your tail, and to have, instead, 2 stilts like those of human beings, in order that a young prince may fall in love with you, and that you may obtain an immortal soul. Is it not so?" A toad underwater? Logic is not logicking. Since the enchantress is a witch, she probably created a toad that can live underwater. It's probably magic. Whilst the witch spoke these words, she laughed so violently that her pet toad and snails fell from her lap. "Ha ha! You come just at the right time," continued she. "Had you come after sunset, it would not have been in my power to have helped you before another year. I will prepare for you a drink with which you must swim to land. You must sit down upon the shore and swallow it, and then your tail will fall and shrink up on the things which men call legs. This transformation will, however, be very painful. You will feel as though a sharp knife passed through your body. All who look on you after you have been thus changed will say that you are the loveliest child of earth they have ever seen. You will retain your peculiar undulating movements, and no dancer will move so lightly, but every step you take will cause you pain, all but unbearable. It will seem to you as though you were walking on the sharpest edges of swords, and your blood will flow. Can you endure all this suffering? If so, I will grant your request." Thank you, guys. Thank you. Voice acting is my passion. Teehee. "Yes, I will," answered the princess with a faltering voice, for she remembered her dear prince and the immortal soul which her suffering might win. "Only consider," said the witch, "that you can never again become a mermaid. When once you have received a human form, you may never return to your sisters and your father's palace. And unless you shall win the prince's love to such a degree that he shall leave father and mother for you, that you shall be mixed up with all his thoughts and wishes, and unless the priest join your hands so that you can become man and wife, you will never obtain the immortality you seek. The morrow of the day on which he is united to another will see your death. Your heart will break with sorrow, and you will be changed to foam at the sea. Still, I will venture, said the little mermaid, pale and trembling as a dying person. Besides all this, I must be paid, and it is no slight thing that I require for my trouble. Thou hast the sweetest voice of all the dwellers in the sea, and thou thinkest by its means to charm the prince. This voice, however, I demand as my recompense. Sorry. The best thing thou possessest, I require in exchange for my magic drink, for I shall be obliged to sacrifice my own blood in order to give it the sharpness of a two-edged sword. But if you take my voice from me, said the princess, what have I left with which to charm the prince? Thy graceful form, replied the witch, thy modest gait and speaking eyes. With such as these it will be easy to infatuate a vain human heart. Well now, hast thou lost courage? Put out thy little tongue, and I may cut it off and take it for myself in return for my magic drink. My voice! Ooh. I'm excited for you guys, SMP. The voices! That's so exciting. I hope by then I can be part of it too. What do you guys think? Will the Little Mermaid take up the witch's offer and sacrifice her voice and her tail? Let's find out. Be it so, said the princess, and the witch took up her cauldron in order to mix her potion. Cleanliness is a good thing, remarked she as she began to rub the cauldron with a handful of toads and snails. She then scratched her bosom and let the black blood trickle down into the cauldron, every moment throwing in new ingredients, the smoke from the mixture assuming such horrible forms as were enough to fill beholders with terror, and a moaning, groaning proceeding from it, which might be compared to the weeping of crocodiles. The magic drink at length became clear and transparent as pure water. It was ready. Her what now? Here it is, said the witch to the princess, cutting out her tongue at the same moment. The poor little mermaid was now dumb. She could neither sing nor speak. If the polypi should attempt to seize you as you pass through my little groove, said the witch, you have only to sprinkle some of this magic drink over them, and their arms will burst into 1,000 pieces. But the princess had no need of this counsel, for the polypi drew hastily back as soon as they perceived the bright pail that glittered in her hand like a star. Thus she passed safely through the formidable wood, over the moor, and across the foaming mill stream. That sounds so painful. Poor little mermaid. She now looked once again at her father's palace. The lamps in the saloon were extinguished, and all the family were asleep. She would not go in, for she could not speak if she did. She was about to leave her home forever. Her heart was ready to break with sorrow at the thought. She stole into the garden, plucked a flower from the bed of each of her sisters as remembrance, kissed her hand again and again, and then rose through the dark blue waters to the world above. The sun had not yet risen when she arrived at the prince's dwelling and ascended those well-known marble steps. The moon still shone in the sky when the little mermaid drank of the wonderful liquid contained in her pail. Pail? No, vial. Vial? Vial? Whatever. She drank the liquid. She felt it run through her like a sharp knife, and she fell down in a swoon. When the sun rose, she awoke and felt a burning pain in all her limbs. But she saw standing close to her the object of her love, the handsome young prince, whose coal-black eyes were fixed inquiringly upon her. Full of shame, she cast down her own and perceived, instead of the long fish-like tail she had hitherto borne, 2 slender legs. But she was quite naked, and tried in vain to cover herself with her long thick hair. The prince asked who she was, and how she had gotten here, and she, in reply, smiled and gazed upon him with her bright blue eyes, for, alas, she could not speak. He then led her by the hand into the palace. She found that the witch had told her true. She felt as though she were walking on the edges of sharp swords, but she bore the pain willingly. On she passed, light as a sapphire, and all who saw her wondered at her light, undulating movements. When she entered the palace, rich clothes of muslin and silk were brought to her. She was lovelier than all who dwelt there. Anything for love, huh? Apparently. It's still very sad to me. Losing her tail and having sharp pain whenever you walk. That sounds terrible. But she could neither speak nor sing. Some female slaves, gaily dressed in silk and gold brocade, sang before the prince and his royal parents, and one of them distinguished herself by her clear, sweet voice, which the prince applauded by clapping his hands. This made the little mermaid very sad, for she knew that she used to sing far better than the young slave. Alas, thought she, if he did but know that, for his sake, I have given away my voice forever. Losing her voice is also saddening, yeah. She was a great singer. The slaves began to dance. Our lovely little mermaiden then arose, stretched out her delicate white arms, and hovered gracefully about the room. Every motion displayed more and more the perfect symmetry and elegance of her figure, and the expression which beamed in her speaking eyes touched the hearts of the spectators far more than the song of the slaves. All present were enchanted, but especially the young prince, who called her his dear little foundling, and she danced and danced again and again, although every step costs her excessive pain. The prince then said she could always be with him, and accordingly a sleeping place was prepared for her on velvet cushion in the anteroom of his own apartment. I haven't watched that series. I gotta check it out later. The prince caused a suit of male apparel to be made for her, in order that she might accompany him in his rides, So together they traversed the fragrant woods, where green boughs brushed against their shoulders, and the birds sang merrily among the fresh leaves. With him she climbed up steep mountains, and although her tender feet bled, so as to be remarked by the attendants, she only smiled, and followed her dear prince to the heights, whence they could see the clouds chasing each other beneath them, like a flock of birds migrating to other countries. So she's actively bleeding with every step. That's terrible. During the night she would, when all in the palace were at rest, walk down the marble steps in order to cool her feet in the deep waters. She would then think of those beloved ones who dwelt in the lower world. One night, as she was thus bathing her feet, her sisters swam together to the spot, arm in arm and singing. But alas, so mournfully. She beckoned to them, and they immediately recognized her, and told her how great was the mourning in her father's house for her loss. From this time the sisters visited her every night, and once they brought with them the old grandmother, who had not seen the upper world for great many years. They likewise brought their father, the Mer-King, with his crown on his head, but these two old people did not venture near enough to land to be able to speak to her. The little mermaiden became dearer and dearer to the prince every day, but he only looked upon her as a sweet, gentle child, and the thought of making her his wife never entered his head. And yet his wife she must be, ere she could receive an immortal soul. His wife she must be, or she would change into foam and be driven restlessly over the billows of the sea. Dost thou not love me above all others? Her eyes seemed to ask, as he pressed her fondly in his arms and kissed her lovely brow. Yes, the prince would say, thou art dearer to me than any other, for no one is as good as thou art. Thou lovest me so much, and thou art so like a young maiden whom I've seen but once, and may never see again. I was on board a ship which was wrecked by a sudden tempest. The waves threw me onto the shore, near a holy temple, where a number of young girls are occupied constantly with religious services. The youngest of them found me on the shore and saved my life. I saw her only once, but her image is vividly impressed upon my memory, and her alone can I love. But she belongs to the holy temple, and thou, who resembles her so much, has been given to me for consultation. Never will we be parted. Her poor family, yeah, they visit her every night. Maybe the moral of the story is to appreciate your sisters more than a prince. Original fairy tales are rather dark, that's true. That's why I like them so much. So we learn that the prince is in love with the one that saved his life. Alas, he does not know that it was I who saved his life, thought the little mermaiden, sighing deeply. I bore him over the wild waves into the wooden bay, where the holy temple stood. I sat behind the rocks, waiting till someone should come. I saw the pretty maiden approach, whom he loves more than me. And again she heaved a deep sigh, for she could not weep. He said that the young girl belongs to the holy temple. She never comes out into the world, so they cannot meet each other again. And I am always with him, see him daily. I will love him and devote my whole life to him. Isn't he like 16? Why is he so intense? A prince. So the prince is going to be married to the beautiful daughter of the neighboring king, said the courtiers. That is why he's having that splendid ship fitted out. It is announced that he wishes to travel, but in reality he goes to see the princess. A numerous reunion will accompany him. The little mermaiden smiled at these and similar conjectures, for she knew the prince's intentions better than anyone else. I must go, he said to her. I must see the beautiful princess. My parents require me to do so, but they will not compel me to marry her and bring her home as my bride. Oh, hold on. Sorry, a visitor. Sorry. I hope the rain was keeping you guys company. How's everyone? Everyone cozy? That's nice. I hope you have something to drink. I hope those that are resting and lurking, or maybe even asleep already, are having sweet dreams. Maybe sweeter dreams than this fairy tale. We've gotten to a point of the story that is very sad. Oh, cuddle your pets for me. Yes. So where were we? The prince must go. I must go, he said to her. I must see the beautiful princess. My parents require me to do so, but they will not compel me to marry her and bring her home as my bride, and it is quite impossible for me to love her, for she cannot be so like the beautiful girl in the temple as thou art. And if I were obliged to choose, I should prefer thee, my little silent foundling, with the speaking eyes. And he kissed her rosy lips, played with her locks, and folded her in his arms, whereupon arose in her heart a sweet vision of human happiness and immortal bliss. Thou art not afraid of the sea, art thou, my sweet silent child? Asked he tenderly, as they stood together in the splendid ship which was to take them to the country of the neighboring king. And then he told her of the storms that sometimes agitate the waters, of the strange fishes that inhabit the deep, and of the wonderful things seen by divers. But she smiled at his words, for she knew better than any child of earth what went on in the depth of the ocean. Yeah, straight up kissed her on the lips. But isn't it sad that to him she's second best? That is sad. At night time, when the moon shone brightly and when all on board were fast asleep, she sat in the ship's gallery looking down into the sea. It seemed to her, as she gazed through the foamy track made by the ship's keel, that she saw her father's palace and her grandmother's silver crown. Did I just hear what I heard? The kiss? What did you hear? She then saw her sisters rise out of the water, looking sorrowful and stretching out their hands towards her. She nodded to them, smiled, and would have explained that everything was going on quite according to her wishes, but just then the cabin boy approached, upon which the sisters plunged beneath the water so suddenly that the boy thought what he had seen on the waves was nothing but foam. Yeah, the kiss part, it's kinda sudden. Young love is so weird. The next morning the ship entered the harbor of the king's splendid capital. Bells were rung, trumpets sounded, and soldiers marched in procession through the city, with waving banners and glittering bayonets. Every day witnessed some new entertainments. Balls and parties followed each other. The princess, however, was not yet in the town. She had been sent to a distant convent for education, and had there been taught the practice of all royal virtues. At last she arrived at the palace. The Little Mermaid had been anxious to see this unparalleled princess, and she was now obliged to confess that she had never before seen so beautiful a creature. The skin of the princess was so white and delicate that the veins might be seen through it, and her dark eyes sparkled beneath a pair of finely formed eyebrows. "It is herself!" exclaimed the prince when they met. "It is she who saved my life when I lay like a corpse on the seashore." And he pressed his blushing bride to his beating heart. "Oh, I am all too happy," said he to his dumb foundling. "What I have never dared to hope for has come to pass. Thou must rejoice in my happiness, for thou lovest me more than all other who surround me." And the little mermaid kissed his hand in silent sorrow. It seemed to her as if her heart was breaking already. Although the morrow of his marriage day, which must inevitably see her death, had not yet dawned. Again rung the church bells, whilst heralds rode through the streets of the capital to announce the approaching bridal. Odorous flames burned in silver candlesticks on all of the altars. The priests swung their golden censers, and bride and bridegroom joined hands, whilst the holy words that united them were spoken. The little mermaid, clad in silk and cloth of gold, stood behind the princess and held the train of the bridal dress. But her ear heard nothing of the solemn music. Her eyes saw not the holy ceremony. She remembered her approaching end. She remembered that she had lost both this world and the next. That very same evening, the bride and bridegroom went on board the ship. Cannons were fired, flags waved with the breeze, and in the center of the deck stood a magnificent pavilion of purple and cloth of gold. fitted up with the richest and softest couches. Here the princely pair were to spend the night. A favorable wind swelled the sails, and the ship glided lightly over the blue waters. As soon as it was dark, colored lamps were hung out and dancing began on the deck. The little mermaid was thus involuntarily reminded that she had seen of what she had seen the first time she rose up to the upper world. Yeah, she has to be at the wedding that means her death. Because the prince doesn't know that it was she who saved him. He thinks it was the girl, which is apparently the princess he's forced to marry, or supposed to, and now he wants to, because he thinks that's the love of his life that saved his life. And the little mermaid has to be there and dance. As soon as it was dark, colored lamps were hung out and dancing began on the deck. The little mermaid was thus involuntarily reminded of what she had seen the first time she rose to the upper world. The spectacle that now presented itself was equally splendid, and she was obliged to join in the dance, hovering lightly as a bird over the shipboards. All applauded her, for never had she danced with more enchanting grace. Her little feet suffered extremely, but she no longer felt the pain. The anguish her heart suffered was much greater. It was the last evening she might see him, for whose sake she had forsaken her home and all her family, had given away her beautiful voice, and suffered daily the most violent pain, all without his having the least suspicion for it. It was the last evening that she might breathe the same atmosphere in which he, the beloved one, lived. The last evening when she might behold the deep blue sea and the starry heavens. An eternal night in which she might neither think nor dream awaited her. And all was joy in the ship, and she, her heart filled with thoughts of death and annihilation, smiled and danced with the others, till past midnight. Then the prince kissed his lovely bride, and arm in arm they entered the magnificent tent prepared for their repose. All was now still. The steersman alone stood at the ship's helm. The little mermaid leaned her white arms on the gallery and looked towards the east, watching for the dawn. She well knew that the first sunbeam would witness her dissolution. She saw her sisters rise out of the sea. Deadly pale were their features, and their long hair no more fluttered over their shoulders. It had all been cut off. "We have given it to the witch," said they, "to induce her to help thee, so that thou mayest not die. She has given us a penknife. Here it is. Before the sunrise, thou must plunge it into the prince's heart, and when his warm blood trickles down upon thy feet, they will again be changed to a fish-like tail. Thou wilt once more become a mermaid, and wilt live thy fully 300 years, ere thou changest to foam on the sea. But hasten, either he or thou must die before sunrise. Our aged mother mourns for thee so much her grey hair has fallen off through sorrow, as ours fell before the scissors of the witch. Kill the prince and come down to us. Hasten, hasten. Dost thou not see the red streaks on the eastern sky, announcing the near approach of the sun? A few minutes more, and he rises, and then all will be over with thee." At these words they sighed deeply and vanished. So her sisters have gone to the enchantress too, to make a deal. So that maybe the Little Mermaid can become a mermaid again. They've given up their hair. All the mermaid has to do is kill her beloved prince. Do you think she will do it? Do you think she should? Let's see. The Little Mermaid drew aside the purple curtains of the pavilion where lay the bride and the bridegroom. Bending over them, she kissed the prince's forehead, and then glancing at the sky, she saw that the dawning light became every moment brighter. The prince's lips unconsciously murmured the name of his bride. He was dreaming of her, and her only. Whilst the fatal penknife trembled in the hand of the unhappy mermaid. All at once she threw far out into the sea that instrument of death. The waves rose like bright blazing flames around, and the water where it fell seemed tinged with blood. With eyes fast becoming dim and fixed, she looked once more at her beloved prince, then plunged from the ship into the sea, and felt her body slowly but surely dissolving into foam. The sun rose from his watery bed. His beams fell so softly and warmly upon her that our little mermaid was scarcely sensible of dying. She still saw the glorious sun, and over her head hovered 1,000 beautiful transparent forms. She could still distinguish the white sails of the ship and the bright red clouds in the sky. The voices of those airy creatures above her head had a melody so sweet and soothing that a human ear would be as little able to catch the sound as her eye was capable of distinguishing their forms. They hovered around her with no wings, borne by their own lightness through the air. The little mermaid at last saw that she had a body as transparent as theirs, and felt herself raised gradually from the foam of the sea to the higher regions. "Where are they taking me?" she asked, and her words sounded just like the voices of those heavenly beings. "Speak you to the daughters of air?" was the answer. "The mermaid has no immortal soul, and can only acquire that heavenly gift by winning the love of one of the sons of men. Her immortality depends upon union with man. Neither do the daughters of air possess immortal souls, but they can acquire them by their own good deeds. We fly to hot countries where the children of earth are sinking under sultry pestilential breezes. Our fresh cooling breath revives them. We diffuse ourselves through the atmosphere. We perfume it with the delicious fragrance of flowers, and thus spread delight and health over the earth. By doing good in this manner for 300 years, we win immortality and receive a share of the eternal bliss of human beings. And thou, poor little mermaid, who following the impulse of thine own heart hast done and suffered so much, thou art now raised to the airy world of spirits, that by performing deeds of kindness for 300 years thou mayest acquire an immortal soul." The little mermaid stretched out her transparent arms to the sun, and for the first time in her life tears moistened her eyes. And now again all were awake and rejoicing in the ship. She saw the prince with his pretty bride. They had missed her. They looked sorrowfully down on the foamy waters, as if they knew she had plunged into the sea. Unseen, she kissed the bridegroom's forehead, smiled upon him, and then, with the rest of the children of air, soared high above the rosy cloud, which was sailing so peacefully over the ship. After 300 years we shall fly in the kingdom of heaven. We may arrive there even sooner, whispered one of her sisters. We fly invisibly through the dwelling of men, where there are children, and whenever we find a good child who gives pleasure to his parents and deserves their love, the good God shortens our time of probation. No child is aware that we are flitting about his room, and that whenever joy draws from us a smile, a year is struck out of our 300. But when we see a rude and naughty child, we weep bitter tears of sorrow, and every tear we shed adds a day to our time of probation. So she became an angel. Yeah. She did what she thought was right, which is not kill the prince and return to the sea. She loved him too much. So she was meant to become sea foam. But children of air, which I assume are angels, took her in their arms and made her one of them because she was such a good person. So she can return, but like her family will probably be dead by the time. Most likely. Except if the angels and her find lots of good children. Because then, the time of their probation, which is 300 years, will be cut short. That's very cute, isn't it? Well, it's a sad ending, but the angels kind of saved her. And the moral of the story is, be a good child so that the Little Mermaid can go back to her sisters sooner. I'm gonna take my leave for the night. Again, have a safe trip. Wishing you the best and have a peaceful break. Love forever. Thank you so much, Yvette. Thank you for staying till the end of the story. Because that was the end of The Little Mermaid by Hans Christian Andersen. I did not expect to be reading for 1.5 hours. Damn. Rest well. Thank you for being here. And thank you for your well wishes. What a story. It's so different than what we know from the movies. It's much sadder in reality. But I did have fun. That was fun. I hope you guys enjoyed it too. Moral of the story is, maybe a prince is not worth losing your sisters for. And if you're a good person, the angels will come. I might randomly pass out, so good night in advance. Thank you very much as always. Oh, thank you for sticking around. I don't know if I will read a second story actually, but please feel free to go to sleep. I appreciate that. It's a big compliment for me. So everyone who's lurking or who's getting sleepy or even is already asleep, I appreciate it a lot. That was the end of The Little Mermaid. The poor girl, she was so lovesick. All for the prince to misunderstand her. What other fairy tales do we have? We have the Snow Queen, which is probably better known as Frozen, right? We have Thumbelina, which is a classic. Whoa, the Snow Queen is a really long story. We also have the Ugly Duckling, which is apparently only like 20 pages? 15? The Ugly Duckling is something I would read too. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Oh, like 8 pages. What do you guys think? Would you want to read? Should I end it with the Ugly Duckling? But before that, I'm gonna take a little break. Sounds good to me? Yeah, I think so too. I will take a little bathroom break though. So I'll be right back. And then I will finish the stream with 7 pages. Because apparently the fairy tale of the Little Ugly Duckling is only 7 pages long. So okay. I'll be right back, guys. What? I'm back. Are we cozy? The Little Mermaid was 34 pages. Okay, so the Ugly Duckling will be shorter, which is good. Thank you, Nico. Thank you for hanging out. Meanwhile, we put everyone else to sleep. This feels nice, though. It's also something that I've always wanted to do. And I'm glad people seem to enjoy it. Oh yes, please set your alarms. I set my reminders too. I still have some stuff to prepare for my trip. Do you have work tomorrow, Nico? Nico Nini. Actually, while we let me open this bag of cinnamon rolls. Hold on. Okay. I didn't want to make too much noise, that's why I muted. Good luck at work tomorrow. Take care of the cold. It's gotten super cold again. There's always sudden snow. Oh my god, that is so funny. That's so cute. Oh my god, Nico. Nico, your riz is unmatched. Truly. Teehee. Me too. I hope I packed enough cute outfits for my trip. I will send you pictures every day. But that's fair, honestly. All right. Three cinnamon rolls. Some water. Some more water, actually. Oof. Thanks to the boom arm, I don't hit my mic anymore. That's great. So, oh, I think I have a burp coming up. Hold on. That is so unbecoming. Alright. Now, for real this time. The Ugly Duckling by none other than Hans Christian Andersen. I assume. Yes, oh god. It was a beautiful... What? Sorry. Need to get back into the reading headspace. It was beautiful in the country. It was summertime. Ooh, I'm jealous. The wheat was yellow, the oats were green, the hay was stacked. Up in the green meadows, and the stork paraded about on his long red legs, discoursing in Egyptian, which language he had learned from his mother. The fields and meadows were skirted by thick woods, and a deep lake lay in the midst of the woods. Yes, it was indeed beautiful in the country. The sunshine fell warmly on an old mansion surrounded by deep canals, and from the walls down to the water's edge there grew large burdock leaves, so high that children could stand upright among them without being perceived. This palace was wild and unfrequented, as the thickest parts of the wood, and on that account a duck had chosen to make her nest there. She was sitting on the eggs, but the pleasure she had felt at first was now almost gone, because she had been there so long and had so few visitors, for the other ducks preferred swimming on the canals to sitting amongst the burdock leaves, gossiping with her. At the last eggs cracked. At last the eggs cracked, one after another. Chick, chick. All the eggs were alive, and one little head after another appeared. Quack, quack, said the duck, and all got up as well as they could. They peeped about They peeped about from under the green leaves, and as green is good for the eyes, their mother let them look as long as they pleased. How large the world is, said the little ones, for they found their present situation very different from their former confined one, while yet in the eggshells. Do you imagine this to be the whole of the world? Said the mother. It extends far beyond the other side of the garden, to the pastor's field, but I've never been there. Are you all there? And then she got up. No, I have not got you all. The largest egg is still here. How long will this last? I'm so weary of it. And then she sat down again. Well, and how are you getting on? Asked an old duck who had come to pay her a visit. This one egg keeps me so long, said the mother. It will not break, but you should see the others. They are the prettiest little ducklings I have seen in all my days. They are like little... They're all like their fathers, the good-for-nothing fellow. He has not been visiting me once. "Let me see the egg that will not break," said the old duck. "Depend upon it, it is a turkey's egg. I was cheated in the same way once myself, and I had such trouble with the young ones, for they were afraid of the water, and I could not get them there. I called and scolded, but it was all for no use. But let me see the egg. Ah, yes, to be sure, that is a turkey's egg. Leave it and teach the other little ones to swim." "I will sit on it a little longer," said the duck. "I've been sitting so long that I may as well spend the harvest here." "It is no business of mine," said the old duck, and away she waddled. Oops. The great egg burst at last. "Chick, chick," said the little one, and out of it tumbled, but oh, how large and ugly it was! The duck looked at it. "That is a great, strong creature," said she. "None of the others are at all like it. Can it be a young turkey cock? Well, we shall soon find out. It must go into the water, though I push it in myself." The next day there was delightful weather, and the sun shone warmly upon all the green leaves, when Mother Duck with all her family went down to the canal. Plump she went into the water. "Quack, quack," cried she, and one duckling after another jumped in. The water closed over their heads, but all came up again and swam together in the pleasantest manner. Their legs moved without effort. All were there, even the ugly gray one. "No, it is not a turkey," said the old duck. "Only see how prettily it moves its legs, how upright it holds itself. It is my own child. It is also really very pretty when one looks more closely at it. Quack, quack. Now come find with me. I will take you to the world, introduce you in the ducky yard, but keep close to me, or someone may treat on you, and beware of the cat." So they came into the duck yard. There was a horrid noise. 2 families were quarreling about the remains of an eel, which in the end was secured by the cat. "See, my children, such is the way of the world," said the mother duck, wiping her beak, for she too was fond of roasted eels. "Now use your legs," said she. "Keep together and bow to the old duck you see yonder. She is the most distinguished of all the fowls present, and is of Spanish blood, which accounts for her dignified appearance and manners. And look, she has a red rag on her leg that is considered extremely handsome, and is the greatest distinction a duck can have. Don't turn your feet inwards. A well-educated duckling always keeps its legs far apart, like his father and mother. Just so. Look, now bow your necks and say, 'Quack.'" And they did as they were told, but the other ducks who were in the yard looked at them and said aloud, "Only see, now we have another brood, as if there were not enough of us already. And fie, how ugly that one is! We will not endure it." And immediately one of the ducks flew at him and bit him in the neck. "Leave him alone," said the mother. "He is doing no one any harm." "Yes, but he is so large and so strange looking, and therefore he shall be teased." "Those are fine children that our good mother has," said the old duck with the red rag on her leg. "All are pretty, except one, and that one has not turned out well. I almost wish it could be hatched over again." "That cannot be, please your highness," said the mother duck. "Certainly he's not handsome, but he's a very good child, and swims as well as the others, indeed rather better. I think he will grow like the others, all in good time, and perhaps will look smaller. He stayed so long in the eggshell, that is the cause of the difference." And she scratched the duckling's neck and stroked his whole body. "Besides," added she, "he's a drake. I think he will be very strong. Therefore it does not matter so much. He will fight his way through." "The other ducks are very pretty," said the old duck. "Pray make yourself at home, and if you find an eel's head, you can bring it to me." Why do they call it ugly? That's so mean. I agree. It's unnecessarily mean. And accordingly, they made themselves at home. But the poor little duckling, who had come last out of its eggshell, and who was so ugly, was bitten, pecked, and teased by both ducks and hens. "It is so large," said they all, and the turkey cock, who had come into the world with spurs on, and therefore fancied he was an inferior, puffed himself up like a ship in full sail, and marched up to the duckling, quite red with passion. The poor little thing scarcely knew what to do. He was quite distressed, because he was so ugly, and because he was the jest of the poultry yard. So passed the first day, and afterwards matters grew worse and worse. The poor duckling was scorned by all. Even his brothers and sisters behaved unkindly, and were constantly saying, "The catch fetch thee, thou nasty creature." The mother said, "Ah, if thou wert only far away." The ducks bit him, the hens pecked him, and the girl who fed the poultry kicked him. He ran over the hedge. The little birds in the bushes were terrified. "That is because I'm so ugly," thought the duckling, shutting his eyes. But he ran on. At last he came to a wide moor, where lived some wild ducks. Here he lay the whole night, so tired and so comfortless. In the morning the wild ducks flew up, and perceived their new companion. "Pray, who are you?" asked they, and our little duckling turned himself in all directions and greeted them as politely as possible. "You really are uncommonly ugly," said the wild ducks. "However, that does not matter to us, provided you do not marry into our families." Poor thing! He had never thought of marrying. He only begged permission to lie amongst the reeds and drink the water of the moor. There he lay for 2 whole days. On the 3rd day there came 2 wild geese, or rather ganders, who had not been long out of their eggshells, which accounts for their impertinence. "Hark ye," said they, "you are so ugly that we like you infinitely well. Will you come with us and be a bird of passage?" On another moor, not far from this, are some dear, sweet wild geese, as lovely creatures as have ever said hiss. You are truly in the way to make your fortune, ugly as you are. Bang! A gun went off all at once, and both wild geese were stretched dead amongst the reeds. The water became red with blood. Bang! A gun went off again. Whole flocks of wild geese flew up amongst the reeds, and another report followed. There was a grand hunting party. The hunters lay in ambush all around. Some were even sitting in the trees, whose huge branches stretched far over the moor. The blue smoke rose through the thick trees like a mist, and was dispersed as it fell over the water. The hounds splashed about in the mud. The reeds and rushes bent in all directions. How frightening the poor little duck was! How frightened the poor little duck was! He turned his head, thinking to hide it under his wings, and in a moment a most formidable-looking dog stood close to him, his tongue hanging out of his mouth, his eyes sparkling fearfully. He opened wide his jaws at the sight of our duckling, showed him his sharp white teeth, and splash, splash, he was gone. Gone without hurting him. "Well, let me be thankful," sighed he. "I'm so ugly that even the dog will not eat me." And now he lay still, though the shooting continued amongst the reeds, shot following shot. The noise did not cease till late in the day, and then, even then, the poor little thing dared not stir. He waited several hours before he looked around him, and then hastened away from the moor as fast as he could. He ran over fields and meadows, though the wind was so high that he had some difficulty in proceeding. Towards evening he reached a wretched little hut, so wretched that it knew not on which side to fall, and therefore remained standing. The wind blew violently, so that our poor little duckling was obliged to support himself on his tail in order to stand against it. But it became worse and worse. He then remarked that the door had lost one of his hinges, and hung so much awry that he could creep through the crevice into the room, which he did. In this room lived an old woman, with her tomcat and her hen. And the cat, who she called her little son, knew how to set up his back and purr. Indeed, he could even emit sparks when stroked the wrong way. The hen had very short legs, I apologize, and was therefore called Cuckoo Shortlegs. She laid very good eggs, and the old woman loved her as her own child. The next morning the new guest was perceived. The cat began to meow, and the hen to cackle. "What is the matter?" asked the old lady, looking around. However, her eyes were not good, so she took the young duckling to be a fat duck who had lost her way. "This is a capital catch," said she. "I shall now have duck eggs. If it be not a drake, we must try." And so the duckling was put to the proof for 3 weeks, but no eggs made their appearance. Now the cat was the master of the house, and the hen was the mistress, and they used to always say, "We and the world," for they imagined themselves to be not only the half of the world, but also by far the better half. The duckling thought it was possible to be of different opinion, but that the hen would not allow. "Can you lay eggs?" she asked. "No." "Well then, hold your tongue." And the cat said, "Can you set up your back? Can you purr?" "No." "Well then, you should have no opinion when reasonable persons are speaking." So the duckling sat alone in a corner, and was in a very bad humor. However, he happened to think of the fresh air and bright sunshine. Wow. And these thoughts gave him such a strong desire to swim again that he could not help telling it to the hen. "What ails you?" said the hen. "You have nothing to do, and therefore brood over these fancies. Either lay eggs or purr, then you will forget them." "But it is so delicious to swim," said the duckling. "So delicious when the water closes over your head and you plunge to the bottom." Thank you for being here, Annie. Thank you for the compliment, too. Have a good time. Bye-bye. "But it is so delicious to swim," said the duckling. "So delicious when the water closes over your head and you plunge to the bottom." "Well, that is a queer sort of pleasure," said the hen. "I think you must be crazy. Not to speak of myself. Ask the cat. He's the most sensible animal I know. Whether he would like to swim or to plunge to the bottom of the water, ask our mistress, the old woman. There is no one in the world wiser than she. Do you think she would take pleasure in swimming?" And in the waters closing over her head? You do not understand me, said the duckling. What we do not understand you. So you think of yourself wiser than the cat and the old woman? Not to speak of myself. Do not fancy any such thing, child, but be thankful for all the kindness that has been shown to you. Are you not lodged in a warm room? Have you not had the advantage of society? And have you not the advantage of society from which you can learn something? But you are a simpleton, and it is wearisome to have anything to do with you. And it is wearisome to have anything to do with you. Damn, she's mean. Believe me, I wish you well. I tell you unpleasant truths, but it is thus that real friendship is shown. Come, for once give yourself the trouble to learn to purr or to lay eggs. I think I will go out into the wide world again, said the duckling. Well, go, answered the hen. So the duckling went. He swam on the surface of the water, he plunged beneath, but all animals passed him by on account of his ugliness. And the autumn came. The leaves turned yellow and brown. The wind caught them and danced them about. The air was very cold. The clouds were heavy with hail or snow, and the raven sat on the hedge and croaked. The poor duckling was certainly not very comfortable. One evening, just as the sun was setting with unusual brilliancy, a flock of large, beautiful birds rose from out of the brushwood. The duckling had never seen anything so beautiful before. Their plumage was of a dazzling white, and they had long, slender necks. They were swans. They uttered a single cry, spread out their long, splendid wings, and flew away from these cold regions to warmer countries, across the open sea. They flew so high, so very high, and the little ugly duckling's feelings were so strange. He turned around and around in the water, like a mill-wheel, strained his neck to look after them, and sent forth such a loud and strange cry that it almost frightened himself. He thought he could not forget them, those noble birds, those happy birds. When he could see them no longer, he plunged to the bottom of the water, and when he arose again, he was almost beside himself. The duckling knew not what the birds were called, knew not whither they were flying, yet he loved them as he had never before loved anything. He envied them not. It would never have occurred to him to wish such beauty for himself. He would have been quite contented if the duck in the duck-yard had but endured his company, the poor ugly animal. And the winter was so cold, so cold. The duckling was obliged to swim round and round in the water to keep it from freezing. But every night the opening in which he swam became smaller and smaller. It froze so that the crust of the ice crackled. The duckling was obliged to make good use of his legs to prevent the water from freezing entirely. At last, wearied out, he lay stiff and cold in the ice. Early in the morning there passed by a peasant who saw him, broke the ice in pieces with his wooden shoe, and brought him home to his wife. He now revived. The children who have played with him. But our duckling thought they wished to tease him, and in his terror jumped into a milk pail, so that the milk was spilled about in the room. The good woman screamed and clapped her hands. He flew thence into the pan where the butter was kept, and hence into the meal barrel, and out again. And then how strange he looked! The woman screamed and struck at him with the thongs. The children ran races with each other trying to catch him, and laughed and screamed likewise. It was well for him that the door stood open. He jumped out amongst the bushes into the new-fallen snow. He lay there as in a dream. But it would be too melancholy to relate all the trouble and misery that he was obliged to suffering during the severity of the winter. He was lying on a moor amongst the reeds when the sun began to shine warmly again. The the lark sang and beautiful spring has returned. And once more he shook his wings. They were stronger than formerly and bore him forwards quickly. And before he was well aware of it, he was in a large garden where the apple tree stood in full bloom, where the serenos sent forth their fragrance and hung their long green branches down into the winding canal. Oh, everything was so lovely, so full of the freshness of spring, and out of the thicket came 3 beautiful white swans. They displayed their feathers so proudly and swam so lightly, so lightly. The duckling knew the glorious creatures and was seized with a strange melancholy. "I will fly to them, those kingly birds," said he. "They will kill me because I, ugly as I am, have presumed to approach them, but it matters not. Better to be killed by them than to be bitten by the ducks, pecked by the hens, kicked by the girl who feeds the poultry, and to have so much to suffer during winter." He flew into the water and swam towards the beautiful creatures. They saw him and shot forward to meet him. "Only kill me," said the poor animal, and he bowed his head low, expecting death. But what did he see? In the water? He saw beneath him his own form, no longer that of a plump, ugly, grey bird. It was that of a swan. It matters not to have been born in a duck-yard if one has been hatched from a swan's egg. The good creature felt himself really elevated by all the troubles and adversities he had from all the trouble he had experienced. He could now rightly estimate his own happiness, and the larger swans swam around him and stroked him with their beaks. Some little children were running about in the garden. They threw grain and bread into the water, and the youngest exclaimed, "There is a new one!" The others also cried out, "Yes, there is a new swan, come!" And they clapped their hands and danced around. They ran to their father and mother. Bread and cake were thrown into the water, and everyone said, "The new one is the best, so young and beautiful." And the old swan bowed before him. The young swan felt quite ashamed and hid his head under his wings. He scarcely knew what to do. He was all too happy, but still not proud, for a good heart is never proud. He remembered how he had been persecuted and derided, and he now heard everyone say he was the most beautiful of all beautiful birds. The flowers bent down their branches towards him, low into the water, and the sun shone so warmly and brightly. He shook his feathers, stretched his slender neck, and in the joy of his heart said, "How little did I dream of so much happiness when I was the ugly, despised duckling." And that's the end. Aww. What is the moral of the story? You cannot flourish in an environment that does not appreciate you. It's also sad, like the mother and the siblings of the duckling did not have any problem with him until the rest of the farm had a problem with him. And then all of a sudden he was terrible and he had to go. But he found his way home, where he belongs, with the other swans. How little did I dream of so much happiness when I was the ugly, despised duckling. Aww. He didn't even dream of ever being called beautiful. All he ever wanted was to see the cool birds. And then, oh my god, he was one of them. And apparently he was the prettiest. So yeah, do not stay in a place that doesn't appreciate you. The right people will. Okay, are we all asleep now? I hope we are. The book is closed. That was fun. It was a nice story, too. I'm glad I read it. Okay. We've been streaming for 3 hours? Wow. So, I will, once the VOD is up, I will add timestamps so that you can skip to the stories in case you need it, right? And yeah, I think that's it from my end. I think most of us are asleep or at least calmed down enough to be resting, which makes me very happy. That's a big compliment for me. So yeah, grateful for all of you, for supporting me in whatever I do, even if it's just reading fairy tales. You're very much appreciated. You're very loved. I appreciate you even if you are just lurking, or if you are here for 5 minutes, or if you're here the whole time. I appreciate you all the same. I appreciate everyone that watches the VODs a lot. And if you stick around, or if you leave and never come back, I do wish you only the best. My only goal since day one is to help you all go through tough times, through the night. And by helping you, it also helps me. I had a great night today. It was very fun talking and catching up. And also reading. I love reading. Fairy tales, specifically like older ones. They have such interesting like morals. But still they hold their value up years later, right? Especially the Ugly Duckling. Poor little ducky. I mean swan, I guess. I love Swan Lake. I love the ballet. I love any rendition of Swan Lake, like the movies, like Black Swan the movie, or even the Barbie movie of Swan Lake. I love them all so very much. My own personal model, I've taken inspiration from the whole concept of swans too. Like, I can... Hold on. You know that I have the same jacket in white, right? Like I have it in black, I have it in white for Black Swan and the White Swan. So yeah, I'm glad I read the last story too. And yeah, if you liked it, please let me know in the comments, and I might read more again. I thought of like reading longer books, maybe doing multiple parts and stuff. I have many books laying around, so if you enjoy it, please let me know. Otherwise, I'm glad I did it, especially because I don't know how the next 2 or 3 weeks will look when it comes to streaming. Again, I'll be away. But I hope that, like, I will try to keep you all updated. If you haven't yet, follow my TikTok and my Twitter. I might do short streams there, I don't know. I will definitely keep you all updated though, over there. And hopefully I'll have enough time on my vacation even to put out some content. Soon it will be my 6th month of streaming. I hope I can do a video reflecting on it, thanking you all properly. But yeah, do look forward to spring, I guess. I will rest up enough and then I'll come back stronger. So yeah, anything else? I think that's it. I will put out the ending screen right now. Yes. Okay. So now you can't even hear the rain anymore. It's just me. Any departing words? I don't know when the next time will be that I can stream. The next time that I will stream in, like, here, my own setup, will be a while. So yeah, take the morals that we learned from the fairy tales to heart. They're timeless. Sometimes your sisters are more important than a prince, in whatever shape or form it fits for you. And you cannot flourish in an environment that does not appreciate you, like our little duckling that is actually a swan. So yeah, do take care during the cold. Eat enough, drink enough, please. I will take care of myself while I'm gone, so I hope you will take care of yourself while I'm gone too, and that we can come back whenever. I always appreciate whenever you guys come back, or even if you don't. Thank you for stopping by. Any other parting words? I don't know. Sometimes less is more. Bye, guys. See you. Sadly, I can't promise when I'll see you again, but I'll see you again. I promise. Love forever.